I'm Annie,
And I'm Leah.
and this is Lactation Business Coaching with Annie and Leah, where we talk about the smart way to create a compassionate and professional private practice.
Let's dive in.
Well, hey there, Leah.
Hey there, Annie. How are you?
I'm all right. It is spring in New York City, which means today it's 65 degrees, but then we also might have one more freeze before things get nice and stay nice. But I'll take it. I
But
need the
you're getting a little
sunshine.
teaser today, like, hey, it's
Yes,
coming.
it's coming. It's
I know
coming.
we've definitely had such weird weather this year in Houston. Like we had literal snowstorm, like straight up blizzard action snow in South Houston. I'm like, what is happening? Where I'm like tromping around in like 4 or 5 inches of snow. I don't even know. But now we're definitely turning spring here too. But we've had like some cooler mornings, which has kind of been nice because I just know the crazy like summer heat trap that I will live in for 6 months is on its way. So I'm taking every opportunity and just relishing like I'm freezing and it's fine. Where I'm like, your body's probably more climatized to being super cold.
Yes, it is. I am Northeast through and through. Well, mid-Atlantic, but I've lived in the Northeast longer than I lived there at this point in
Yeah.
my life, which is weird. Well, today right now it feels like New York City is creating a welcoming environment for me as a human being, but we want to talk about what we do to create a welcoming environment for our clients. All the kind of what that means to us, all the little things that we do and think about when we are beginning work and seeing these families. So, Leah, what does it mean to you to create a welcoming environment for these families and their babies?
I think it's always top of my mind. I want them, I know this is like for oftentimes they're just in a high stress state no matter what because they're having difficulties feeding their baby and they just had a baby oftentimes and they're like their bodies are going through so much. So I know that their experience with me can have like I just take it really seriously, like very lifelong effects because they're in this high emotional state. So that means it's going to stick with them, whatever experience they have with me. So I take it pretty seriously and really try to like be very conscientious of how I'm interacting with them from just like my behavior and my trying to build some rapport and help their nervous system come down a little bit. Even how I breathe, I remember learning somewhere, like your breath kind of can regulate the room. And I always think about that. And then even just like the physical environment, like what is my space putting out energy wise? Like, is it chaotic or is it like super duper clinical? And it's like kind of unnerving because you're like, oh my gosh, this is a clinical space. Or is it, something that is welcoming but clean and organized? I do think a lot about it, but having this conversation is kind of bringing all those thoughts to the forefront of my mind of like, I don't necessarily like think about it super hard, but it's like all these years of people bringing different aspects of that to my attention have made me just like way more aware of it than I think I ever was like when first starting out, But how about for you? Like, what does that mean for you?
Yeah, I think like for me, it means a lot of it is like me being the welcoming environment first and foremost. Like I think about for home visits, it's like, yes, they're welcoming me into their space, but I'm not their guest. It's almost like I need them to feel comfortable in their own space with me there. Like I'm the
Yeah.
host in some ways. So I think a lot about like when I go, like, for example, a lot of my home visits were in apartment buildings. And so they're buzzing me in, and then I'm coming up the stairs or coming up in the elevator. So they know that I'm coming up, but I also still have to knock on their door.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, when I knock on their door and they open it, I want them to see me like smiling and like
Yeah.
being warm and not like looking at my phone, which is like something you have to remember. So I use that time to like in the elevator, it's fine. But like if I do a home visit in a third or fourth floor walk up and especially during the height of COVID when I definitely had like compromised respiratory for a long time. Like I couldn't breathe. And so I would
Mm.
get, even going up to the second
So
floor, I
and
was out of
yeah,
breath and
yeah,
winded. And so when you were talking about like my breathing, it was like, I was like, I don't want the first thing they say to me is, I'm sorry, we live on the fourth floor or the
right,
second floor.
yeah,
So I would be like, just take it slow
you do
and
that.
like try to hide the fact that I'm breathing hard,
Yeah,
or just to be like, make sure I speak even while I'm breathing hard so they know I'm fine. Like, which is a really weird thing to have to do with like, I'm not fine, actually. Like
right.
I can't breathe, but that's not your problem. And I chose to come here. And so that is like one thing that came to mind with home visits. I feel like it would be different because like, what is it like for like you're driving up and pulling into somebody's driveway? Like, what is that like?
I know. Well, it's funny because I'm like, I'm very conscientious, like where I'm parking. And then in case they're like looking out the window, I try to like, I'm not sitting in my car for a while, like putzing around, doing things. I try to be prompt about like once I pull up in front of their house, I'm getting out, I'm getting my things, getting to the door. So if I am like running a few minutes early or need to do something in my car before I get in, I'll always stop like a block or so away. And like if I needed to get my hair pulled back or like do something, put chapstick on or take another bite of my snack, I try not to do that in front of the house because I know for me, like, once I see somebody's car in front of my house, I'm like, "Okay, they're coming in." And then if they don't, I'm like, "Okay, well, what are they doing out there? Like, why are they coming in?" I've had people, like, repair people or whatever, and then it like, revs up my anxiety because 'cause I'm like, "What are they doing? What's the problem? Why are they coming in? Do they think they're at the wrong house? Like, what could be happening?" So, it's these, like, little small things that I guess after you do things for so long, I just get a sense I'm constantly, like, trying to put myself in other people's experience and, like, "Okay, how can I make this feel, like, as easy breezy, like, no big deal that I'm here for you." Like, I don't want them to be considering any part for me. I want them to just be able to focus on themselves and their needs and know that I'm here to provide this care and service for them and not for them the other way around to like, let me do something for you. Yeah, it's so funny how it's like, as we're talking about this, I'm like, there's so many things that I guess I do, but I don't even realize like I'm doing them for these specific reasons. But it was really interesting, like getting our own clinical space made. So this is so crazy. When we first worked at the pediatric clinic, like this was 10, 11 years ago. So working in a pediatric clinic for this purpose was not commonplace. And at the time, they didn't really have like a designated space for us. But one of the practice doctors had like a larger office with a couch. And they were like, hey, we'll let you guys use this space. But it was like an office space. And then the other side of the room was like a nice couch and seating area. So we like use that space. But the vibes were like, you're in an office. And so it was really so wonderful when they transitioned us. All the doctors, they have another section, like all the doctors gave up their offices so that they could build a space out for us, which was just amazing. And they like wanted to make it a very like comfortable, homey feel to it. And one of the things they did instead of like just painting regular walls in a solid color, they had these like really beautiful little murals painted on the wall, which we get so many comments about. They're like, oh, this is so nice and welcoming. And they're just very like, one's like a scene of birds and trees, and one's like the sun. And they're very like uplifting and welcoming. So instead of having that like really clinical feel that we first originally had, like it was such a nice, like, even for my nervous system, it feels very like it almost feels like I'm still in a home visit sometimes, because they have some nice pictures on the wall that feel more homey than clinical. And it's really cute down the whole hall. They have pictures of the doctors as babies. Isn't that funny? Which I thought was so cute, like such a sweet idea. So all the doctors down our hall, like their baby pictures are all the things that are in our hall, which is so fun. And it makes you feel like you're in like somebody's house with their baby pictures on the wall, you know? So these little like touches we get so many of our clients mention like, "Oh, this space feels so nice, feels like home." And although we still have to have like the pleather couches that we can wipe down and things like that that are still like a little clinical, you know. For the most part it has like these little tiny touches of like you're not just like in a doctor's office, clinical office space, you know, like you're kind of in a more comfortable space where you can be relaxed and not feel, you know, as uncomfortable, especially with this very intimate thing and feeling maybe more exposed because of the situation. It's like maybe we can help them feel a little bit more comfortable. How about you when you like set up your space? Did you have much control? Like that's my first thing. Like, what did you have control over changing? Because I know before, like we didn't have much control. We were kind of at their mercy. And then also, like, what did you choose, or did you think through some of those aspects?
Yeah. So when I first started my sublet, I didn't have any control. I was subletting from a home birth midwifery practice. So they asked me like what do you need in the room? And I was like, I need, I need a place that they can sit, put their feet up, and I need a cabinet to store my supplies in. But they did all of the decor and all of that. So the way my office is inside a wellness studio called Earth and Sky Healing Arts. They do massage, acupuncture. They have somebody that does therapeutic breast massage. They do Mayan abdominal wrap. They do
Wow.
prenatal, postpartum, reflexology, herbal stuff. They do V-steams. Like they do it all.
That's
Cupping.
amazing.
They're amazing. I've been going there for 15 years and I always was like, I wish I could be here. So they used to have, they are in the back, and then they have a hallway that has some therapists that rent rooms by the day or whatever. And then there's a physical therapist practice across the hall. And she's actually going to be our deeper dive guest in
I
June,
can't
talking
wait.
about movement with families is my PT, Dr. Sherry. And she has like her and a pelvic floor therapist. And then her practice also has someone that does private Pilates for postpartum. Anyway,
Wow.
so it's all like very like holistic. But what it used to be was there was a family physician practice there. So she had most of the room, like the Earth and Sky had half the rooms and the family practice had most of it. And then like there was like one or two therapists there. Family practice moved out. Earth and Sky took over the whole thing. And my office is what used to be the receptionist area for the family practice. So
Oh.
it is an interior room, but it has two windows.
Oh, nice.
So it's like, yeah, and it's like right in the front. So people walk in and there's the waiting area, which is like really nice with like plants and hardwood floor. And there's a water cooler and cups and like just all those like nice, like there's a bookshelf that has like take one lending library, bring it
Yeah.
back at your next appointment. And it's all like holistic stuff and stuff for families. So it's really great that way. But my office is right there. So the first thing that I had to do was put curtains on the windows because
Yeah.
can't have people looking in. So it's nice. I get some light into the room so I don't feel like I'm sitting in a windowless room all day. And sometimes I'll even like open it while I'm eating my lunch just to get some like natural light in for me.
Oh,
But
nice.
so yeah, so they come in. I have like a sign on the door, and then I bought a door hanger that says session in progress, do not disturb, because I have had people open the door
Oh.
because they think it is like a reception
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
or they're just like postpartum or like the UPS will stand right in front of my door and yell UPS because the reception there is a receptionist is just all the way in the back for Earth and Sky. So I'm like, okay, don't come in. That's the number one way I create a welcoming environment
Right?
is
Like, I'm
don't
not gonna get barged in on in the middle of
not
this
going to get
session.
barged in on. So when they come into my office, so now we reversed it and now the midwives sublet for me and I'm in the space now. We're in there 6 days a week. And then I redecorated it. I made it a little more decor on the wall.
Oh.
But really like we designed it like you were saying to feel like a living room. And I've had people say like,
Mhm.
this feels like a living room. Like it's a nice comfy couch and it's like not clinical and doesn't feel like you're there to have an exam. It feels like you're there to like hang out and get
Yeah.
help. So that visual like is so important. It's also very like doesn't have a lot of stuff out.
Yeah,
It's
that's
also
how we
it's
are
a
too.
small room. If it was
Yeah.
a bigger room, I probably would like have a bookshelf or something. Like I don't mind a little, not clutter, but well, clearly. But I have my bookshelf
Stuffing
behind
things,
me.
that's what
Anybody,
we
when you
call
come to
it.
the deeper dives, and I'm sitting in front of my giant wall of books, but it's such a small room that like you don't want it to feel like it's like closing in on people.
Right.
So we do keep it pretty clean. But I have snacks out. I have a
Nice.
bowl of candy and I have like a tray that has like Pine bars and Luna bars and the little like fruit leather and stuff like that to give out to people. And I'm always
Yeah.
like, take something.
At our birth center location, they have like a whole snack bar, like nourishment center that has like, you know, water, thing. And then it has like where you can make tea or coffee and ice machine, and then a whole array of like little snacks and different teas and things. And I think that like really says 2 things. One, like, we honor your body and, like, comforts, but also, like, "Hey, this is also important, like, nourish yourself, like, don't forget about this part of it, even during the space and time that you're here, like, we still find this to be, important enough that we set this whole space aside for you." And I really like in our birth center location, the room is a flex room, and so it's used for, like, lots of different things, which is kind of fun because there's like a big, super cushy, like lay down table that they use for like when they're doing their non-stress tests and everything. But it's actually like worked out great because it's basically like a bed, it kind of is the cushioniness of a bed. And they have like lots of pillows and different, things like that that feel kind of homey. Even though it's used for lots of different things, I love having that because I can like, let's do some really comfy laid back. I can put pillows under your knees and on your back and like get you like really laid, and we can get all different angles. And I feel like it's cheating a little bit because I'm like in every other space I don't have like enough room to have like a whole table that it elevates and it also reclines and everything, which is just like a really sweet space. I love it. I love like different aspects of each space. And then the birth center was so great because they put up a whole bunch of like very inclusive feeding pictures, which I just love. Like literally any way that a body could be, look, and then any way that you could feed a baby. And they're like these beautiful hand drawns and they're just all over all the walls. And they did that on their own. They're like, you're going to use this space for infant feeding stuff. So we're going to just make sure that all bodies are included and all ways of feeding your baby are included. And I just love that because it's a really neat space. And I love to I'll sit there and just stare because it's like collages of like all different bodies and all different baby situations and baby feeding situations. And so it's really cool. So it's really neat to be in these different spaces, but appreciate the different ways that I can use that space to help people feel comfortable and then, hopefully bring my own, you know, building rapport and smiling and being welcoming to like enhance whatever that like just physical environment can offer. And I also like really try to read the room, like I try to really notice like, is the parent like kind of sitting awkwardly on the surface that they're on? Or did they lean into it and kind of like, oh, thanks. And if they haven't, I'm like, "Hey, would this seat be more comfortable, or do you want me to put this pillow behind your back?" Before you've even started anything to do with feeding, I just notice, like, what is their body saying to me, like, from the get-go? And maybe it's that I just need to not jump into clinical and build a bit more rapport so I can see their shoulders go down and see them sit back in the chair, or like, no, they're physically just whatever reason this chair isn't working for their body or this cushion or the couch or whatever they're on, and I always try to start with that because I'm like, if I can get their body that somatic experience to be like, ah, then I'm like, okay, we're gonna be able to have so much more positivity come out of the session, no matter how the outcomes are, than if they're like, tense and on edge, and I sometimes like takes longer. It takes longer. It makes this is why I'm always running over on my visits. Um,
Definitely. I feel the same way. Like they sometimes they come in and they are so just they're anxious and they're nervous and they're stiff and like just like, can I take your coat? Let me hang up your coat for you. Just like, do you have water? Just those kinds of like here to take care of you. Like you
mhm,
I am paying attention to you. I have the lighting in my office bothers me. It's something I still haven't
mhm.
quite figured out. So it's got like so it's a small space, but the ceilings are super high. It's like they're extremely high, and the walls are painted white, which is what I wanted. We have one wall behind the couch that's like a accent wall, and it's got this kind of
Mhm.
nice like mottled textured paint in a nice like kind of a taupe color. So that's fine, but you wouldn't want that on all four walls. But the rest are white, and it's so bright in there
Mm.
with the overhead light on. So I have like next to my desk, I have a standing lamp that has like a pretty shade, but it's not enough. It's like that's not enough light. Like it doesn't create the like I can't just have that light.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm also like, with my old eyes, I'm like, I can't see anything if
yeah, I
the light
can't see
is not
anything.
right.
So I bought these like I got these wall sconces that work with magnetic
Oh,
like
cool.
press lights, but they're not bright enough either. Like,
Oh,
so my dream was like I have the wall sconces and my floor lamp, and I don't have to use the overhead light. It's all
yeah,
fill light, but the room is also so small. I can't have table like there's no room for table lamps. Like
yeah,
that would be too much. They have to be on the wall. We can't wire in because I can't afford that. And like
yeah,
I'm a
yeah,
rent
that'd
a
be so expensive.
sublet letter of a renter. Like the not like we own this building or Earth and Sky
Right.
owns this building. Somebody else does. It's just like too much. But the good thing is, so I keep it nice and bright. And sometimes I'm just like, it's so bright and I'm sitting in this like monotone room all day.
Yeah.
But when I have those 3 and 4 month distractible babies come in there, it is magical when I turn off the overhead light for them. And I'll
Oh,
be like, you know what? Let me put on the mood lighting. And I turn off the
yeah.
overhead light and it's a little dim. And a lot of times the babies are like, thank you.
Oh, I can
And
relax now.
not all of them. I have like,
Yeah,
there's some that are just like, I don't care what you do.
yeah.
I'm a
No,
mess. Like,
I'm
get me out
so
of here.
curious. Yeah.
But it's always funny to me to see that, like, that just
It's nice
turning
that
off
you
the
can, like,
light.
play in that space and kinda demonstrate how just lighting can have an impact
Hmm.
on the baby's, like, alertness and curiosity and everything. That's so nice that you have the different lighting options. You were talking about windows. One of the things they did in the pediatric space, which I so appreciate, is they put, like from Amazon, like some frosting, like a peel and stick
Oh, yeah.
frosting. So the whole window is frosted, so we get to leave the windows all the way open, which is super nice because the light, is nice and bright. It feels like that natural light that's uplifting and not so, like, clinical lighting, although there still is overhead light. It just doesn't when you have it countered by the natural light, sometimes it doesn't feel
Yeah. We have Roman shades in there, but they're white and so they let a lot of light
nice.
through. I have like on that because I live in an apartment, so I have a lot of familiarity with needing to have light come through, but not people seeing you.
All the eyes.
Another great tool to do that if you don't want to do like the peel and stick is to get a tension rod with just a sheer curtain that goes
Yeah,
behind your
normal
decorative
curtain.
curtains.
Yeah,
And that's what we have. That's what we use in our bedrooms so that we can
nice.
have the windows open, but not nosy neighbors
Everybody's yeah, looking
watching us.
in. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, it's like light is so important and it does make a difference. Like having good lighting can really set a nice mood. And maybe I need to work a little harder on these sconces because they're really pretty and I want it to work, but the lights themselves are just not bright enough.
they don't have enough,
So
like, oomph to them. Yeah.
they don't fill in over there on that side. So I don't know.
A
But
work in progress. I mean, it's
a
kinda
work
like
in
your
progress.
second little home. I know yesterday we were out and about, and in our pediatric space, we don't have any plants. There's lots of plants in the home birth space, and I was like found this, like, sweetest little mushroom planter thing, and I was like, "I wonder if I could put, like, a little plant in our little pediatric room space just to bring a little bit more hominess in there. I had dreams of that, so I bought the little planter, so we'll see. It feels fun because, like, whenever I'm out and about, always in the back of my head, I have, like, I'm always on the lookout for little touches that might enhance the space and just make it more comfortable and inviting and hopefully make the people's experience of their time with us, like, even more positive, It's just, like, bringing in all these different aspects, not just, like, how clinically smart are we? It's so much more than that, right? It's, like,
Definitely.
so much more than that. I mean, the clinical smartness is imperative, but it's the whole package, and, yeah, it's always a work in progress for me.
Definitely. And I was listening to another podcast, Everything Iconic with Danny Pellegrino, which is basically a housewives recap podcast, but it's hilarious. He's so funny. He went off on this tangent on the episode I was listening to yesterday about one of the housewives going to get a mammogram and how he thinks that all doctors should have candy. Like he's like, we didn't normalize grown-ups getting candy
Getting
when they
candy
go
too.
do things that they don't want to do, like get their
Yeah.
mammogram. He's like, and ladies, get your mammogram. You got to
Yeah,
get your mammogram. He was like kept saying that, and it was making me laugh so hard because I have this like bowl of saltwater taffy is the candy
nice.
that I keep because I love the beach, and it does like make people a little bit delighted when I'm like, there's candy in here. And some of them are like, that just makes me happy that like
Brings down
candy, like,
Yeah, how can you not just be a little, like, less on edge if you just know there's a bowl of candy waiting for you?
so, and it's like, it's not like I'm making them eat the candy. So like
Well,
from, like from a health perspective, yes, it's candy, but you know what? In a life perspective, it's candy. Like,
and it
so
gives a message to us, It's like our brains know that that's, like, not to be on edge and in defense when a bowl of
exactly,
candy is present.
exactly. This is a safe space for
Yes.
you not to feel like you have to be a perfect human being.
Exactly, exactly, I love it. This is such a fun conversation. You brought so many thoughts to my mind. I like even now I'm like, there's some little changes I want to play
Hmm.
even more with the lighting like you're talking about. I love it. So I'm looking forward to continuing to work on my space and hopefully just that whole package going, learning and also cultivating beautiful, comfortable spaces.
I love it. Well, it was great talking about all of this. And I also have some things I want to think about doing based on what we were talking about. And also just being excited that it is a space that I can play in and have fun. And
Yeah,
I do get good feedback from families that they feel comfortable there. And that's the most important thing, whatever it looks like. They feel good. That's all that matters. So,
exactly.
we have a bunch of great deeper dives coming up this spring and summer. I mentioned the deeper dive into movement. We've got a case study on triplets. Lisa Marasco is coming in to talk with us about low supply for a deeper dive. And we're going to be bringing some very targeted questions for her because, she does written books and does trainings about this, but I know specifically about implementation in private practice. This is what I want to talk to her about.
Yes.
Just like
Yes.
what do we do? We're in the thick of it. We're in the weeds with it.
Right.
So I'm excited for those. So you can sign up for a monthly subscription and cancel anytime, but you get access to our archive of deeper dives going back to 2020 when you do subscribe. And we've had some bangers over the
I
years.
know,
So
so good. They're so good. I mean, if you get that, that is like the jackpot, being able to get all the back episodes of the deeper dive. They're just so good. We've had so many amazing people come and talk to us and just share, like, oh, it's just wonderful that time that we have one-on-one with them.
I know, I love it. So, it's always the recordings are there whenever people come live. It's always so fun to interact with you guys. So, thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with a friend and leave us a review. Be sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode.